I've been doing a lot of jungle coaching recently, and by far the biggest issue that I see with students from Iron to Gold is they're not hitting level 6 when they're supposed to for multiple reasons, and if they had just fixed that, I guarantee you they climb really fast. Here's a pretty good example of what can happen if you're not hitting level 6 when you're supposed to. Notice that the Yi, he's just hit level 5 around the time that he should have been hitting level 6 in this game. Now, I know you don't have all the context of like what camps he skipped or what he ganked, but just understand that he could have hit 6 way earlier in this game. And now look at how he's having to approach this gank and how much easier it would have been if he had the movement speed from his ultimate. You can also note that the Rammus is level 4 at the time of this gank, so if he has a 2-level lead on Rammus like he's supposed to, this game is completely over for the Rammus. Especially because a lot of junglers are reliant on hitting their level 6 to have significant impact on fights. If you're playing any of these junglers currently showing on the screen, or most other junglers, you're going to want to play around getting your level 6 very quickly, so that you can be super strong. There are a few exceptions, like Elysian, Nidalee, that kind of thing, that don't care as much about their level 6 because her transform, like her abilities get a little bit stronger, but she's not getting a whole new powerful ability, typically with CC or AoE, that's gonna really swing a fight, especially if the enemy jungler doesn't have their level 6 when they're supposed to. Another thing to keep in mind is that laners, they get level 6 at around 535, 540, because it's on that cannon wave that's coming in at 530. So you want to be getting level 6 as close as you can to when they do. So if you're pushing it back even further, then you're really going to be behind. And that's how junglers can feel like they don't have much impact. It's because they're not able to compete with the laners like they should be able to if they're hitting level 6 when they should be. Out of all the reviews that I've done, or at least just watching people play the game, I've noticed there's going to be 5 main categories that they're screwing up in. They're either not syncing their camps, which is the biggest one by far. So if you're in Iron to Gold, please definitely look at that one first. They're also skipping camps, doing really unrealistic ganks. Their clear speed's really bad, and they could be doing invades. They're just really inefficient and end up actually helping the enemy jungler more than themselves in the long run. I'm going to be showing an example for each category on how it could go wrong or how you could properly utilize it. So the first one's going to be syncing camps, or as I said, not syncing camps. So following the Warwick here, he is doing red, Krugs, this part looks fine, and then typically you would go and do your Raptors to hit your level 3, but instead he goes to Wolves and does that. Now he does still hit level 3, but you'll notice now that he's not able to do all 6 camps before Scuttle spawns because a whole bunch of time is wasted, and then he makes it even worse by skipping another camp. So he's got the Raptors that are up and the Gromp that are up, and each of those are going to be spawning much later than they're supposed to be. I keep playing it. Keep in mind the spawn timers are 2.5 minutes for both the Frogs and the Wolves. They'll be coming back up. The yellow indicator for the Krugs, those are already back up for their second rotation, and he still hasn't cleared Raptors for the first time. Now he's cleared the Gromp, and so that's all messed up too. And I'll play it a little bit longer so you can see, yep, there's the Wolves, and even if he were at the Wolves right now, he wouldn't be able to do the Gromp yet because he didn't do them in order like he was supposed to. The second example, we're going to be following a Mumu, and what happened with this one is he skipped blue buff when he wasn't supposed to. So he does his Wolves, does his Gromp, and went for the Scuttle. Now this isn't that bad if he thinks the Viego is going to take the Scuttle, I'm not upset about that. But then he started to do Drake instead of doing the blue buff. If he ran straight to the blue buff, or even did Gromp blue into Scuttle, then he would be here for this fight with ultimate, which would be massive. But instead, because he didn't have level 6 since he started Drake, he's not able to win it nearly as easily. Now he does win it, don't get me wrong, but that's primarily due to Shen ulting to bail him out of a situation where he did not have his ultimate. This is an example of a very unrealistic gank. The Talon is currently pushed up, yes, that is true. However, the Yi waits until he's cleared all the Raptors, which is good to clear the Raptors, but he's got to recognize that the variables have changed. And now the Talon is backing out because the Fizz is already engaged, there is no way for the Yi to get into range to kill the Talon. Due to this, he ends up just kind of soaking some XP and getting absolutely nothing done while showing on the map. Just to show how significant this is, keep in mind that he finished the last Raptor at 306, and once it's played out, he then appears around the same location, so let's say it took about 4 seconds or so to get back to where he was. That means that he's wasted 25 seconds in the process of getting to level 6. For the fourth one, I'm going to be using my own VOD, because this is clear speeds that are optimized, and I'll admit, I am by no means perfect at the clear, even on Warwick, which is my main champion for jungle. I'm going to be showing just a side-by-side of a Warwick jungle clear that I found on YouTube. It's probably not fully optimized, but it's the only one that I could find with a decent time. So I used that, put it beside mine, and then you can kind of see the differences. And this is a great way, if you notice that your time is way slower than the time that shows on the YouTube video, then you can go in, put them side by side like this, and then just kind of see where the differences are between your clear and theirs. Ideally, you would also use the same runes. I didn't bother with that. I used my normal runes that I always use compared to the runes that were used in the video. Speaking of the video, I have it linked in the description, so you can check that out if you're interested in the original Warwick clear. But yeah, just do this, and this will make a big difference, especially if you're one of the junglers that has a difficult clear, like something like a Karthus, where it takes a lot of practice, or maybe like a Kindred. Then you can really go in, try to figure out those clears, because that's going to be super important to get that down consistently. Now obviously in a real game, it's not going to be perfectly identical, even if you get it down in practice tool, because you are going to have to move your camera around to look at lanes, look at the mini map, all of that. So don't worry if you're like a little bit off in game, or you know, it's not that big of a deal, as long as you're getting the general idea of how to do the clear properly and continue to work on it. For the last example, I'm going to be showing this Mordekaiser jungle. He did the red and raptors into his camps. Don't have a problem with that. I think this is a fantastic advantage that he's gaining, because the enemy team didn't know he was there. However, as you'll see once the game continues, he will mess up an invade later on. He does the blue, does the gromp. I'm not super concerned about the health of his clear. That's not the focus of this example. It goes to raptors, red, and he decides to skip the Krugs because of Scuttle. He wanted to fight over it, but then he realized the Moo was there. Then what he does to make it worse is he proceeds to go to the Amumu's Raptors, because he knows the timer of the Raptors, but it seems that he didn't recognize that Amumu had already killed the Scuttle and the Krugs, because those are the only remaining camps for the Amumu to clear. So now he ends up burning a ton of time walking over to check the Krugs, to then recall and not even clear his own Krugs. So in reality, if he had just done a regular clear, he would be further ahead than he is now after taking the Amumu's Raptors again. Quick note for anyone that made it to the end of the video, I now am doing not only top lane coaching, but also jungle coaching, because I recently hit Diamond in jungle this past split. You can check out my op.gg account information in the description, as well as my Discord, where you can join and hit me up if you are interested in the free coaching for either role. Outside of that, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Peace.